Good evening, TNT family. Welcome back to Yellow's the Code on UNC USA. I have my friend here, Mr. Suman Singh, and as usual, I get some of my other friends here to join us later on in the program. So we've seen, welcome, Mr. Singh, back to the
Hey, Gary, welcome to the crew and all those who joining us on the various platforms. Welcome and glad to have you.
So we see Mr. Modi is sent some his visits have sent some people buzzing in the country and internationally though also. But especially in TNT, you're getting all sorts of comments, and I am very happy with the response to our chairman and Minister of Finance, Mr. Devranath Tanku, on the response to Ms. Penelope Beckles, the opposition leader of the PNM, in reference to the cost of Mr. Modi's trip. And I like the response that he gave her.
Yes, and basically is like we discussed the last day. I think we went into it. Like every trip has what's called a CBA, cost benefit analysis. What does that mean? She is only asking what does the trip cost TNT for Modi's visit. But as I said before, everything has a C, cost, B, benefit, and you do the analysis. So if the benefits way exceed the cost, then when they analyze it, that is a big plus for TNT, for the country, you know. But she only wants to know the cost. She's not even thinking about what are the benefits that we're going to derive from his visit. And you can see the 15 areas. Nobody in the history of our island has, given us this amount of MOUs, one, and direct action for development. So this probably hurting her more than anything else because a lot of trips undertaken over the past 10 years, there was little or no results. So the cost was there, yes, because for Raleigh's visit all over the world, Australia and Singapore and India and China and where have you. But where were the benefits? And that is what you should be asking, and you should be asking. Only the cost she is interested in and nothing else. So it just goes to tell you how they manage their business, how they manage the economy. We only look at one side of the equation. There are three other sides in total: cost, benefits, and the analysis. So that myopic view that the leader of the opposition has, it is a definite replica of how the PNM thinks. Exactly how they think. Nothing concrete they have been delivering to the country over the past 10 years. Nothing concrete. All the systems, as I keep on to saying that, all these systems have been broken, meaning that all the ministries, the policies and the procedures and the systems has more or less gone through the tubes. So, but that said, as you know put up these benefits, as we see, even the impact grants for these small communities, and what grants are? Grants is monies. It's like free money because you don't have to pay back grants, and that is for the benefit of the small business sector. So could you imagine with that initiative, you can kickstart the SME sector in Trinidad, which is the backbone of the middle class, and so that we can start back having a middle class. Should these, activities come to fruition?
with all the leaders that they brought to the country within the last 10 years, right? Not
Yes,
one of them could come even 0.5% of what Mr. Modi has contributed in a very short trip to the country and on the benefits of Trinidad. And the laptops, the ambulance, and all the other things, the dialysis equipment and the prosthetic leg, the
the
services
foot,
that you provide to the country. Um,
the
all is that
disaster.
is not just for Indian people of Indian origin. The only thing for people of Indian origin is the OCI card.
Yes,
Okay, everything else is for all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
correct. But again, it's not only visits to Trinidad what is costing us, Gary. What about the visits by the former Prime Minister to other countries,
But,
as I said?
but
They
this
should,
is just the scratch of what is going to come behind what Mr. Modi has offered to the country. This is so there is no comparison with all the gallivant that Rowley made and all the trips he made to whatever country he went to, and all the trips that Chiotong made to Venezuela. We have not seen anything brought to fruition for that,
the
right?
18 times, 18 times we've been there. So,
And
I
yet,
mean,
these people have the audacity to talk.
well, that's all they can
Totally
do. But
shameless.
again, we really don't have to respond to them. There are
Oh, let me tell you
certain
something.
things.
I wouldn't say so. In
No,
politics, you have to fire right back at them.
there are certain things we should
You
do.
you have to fire right back at them. See, we most of us grew up in this very passive way. Because our family wasn't warriors. They wasn't hunters. They were farmers, and we have that passive way. But that has to change. That has to change, Mr. Singh. We have to fire right back at these people.
Yeah, but we're not fine. But we just certain things. You just they know that you
Politics is war. Politics is
engage,
war.
once you start to engage them with this kind of stupidity, you know, we leave them hanging right there
You give them
because
the answer. You give the. I love Dave Tanku's response. You
yeah,
know,
there are certain you could respond, yeah, but don't waste time because it has already been published in some cases in the Gazette already. These are the benefits which the country stands to reap.
but you see the thing about it, Mr. Singh, I strongly disagree with you there because you see the thing about it, the 106 Covey bill, they went, they tried to deny that to the last. They had people on social media trying to query
Yes,
about that.
agreed.
Some
Gary.
people are so drunk in their stupidness and their political prejudices that they can't see the benefits for the country, and they still, even though these schools were concrete structure staring the nation unfinished and people cannot use, and they were denying that it didn't exist.
Agreed 100% with you. But you see, this further, you know, gives credence to what I've been saying. The UNC need to have their own PR and communication team. Don't not depend
Well,
on the
we
press, that
will
being
pick
a
up the slack
press.
here. We will pick up the slack here.
Yeah, but given the reach we can reach, and of the masses of the people in Trinidad, they will deny that to the end. The PNM supporters will say, "What you all did? Why you ain't get this? Why we ain't get that? All this nonsense." So you see, they have to have that UNC press and PR communication systems on the ball. They should be the one pushing this on, various television stations and so on. Because you cannot depend on that 1% media. They're looking to try to bring you down rather than to uplift you, you know. So, I mean, what Dave said is good, what he said. I agree with that. But where is that coming from? Where is the UNC press? Where is the UNC media to pound this thing so that they can come in the end as they did the last time around and asked, well, where are the 106 schools? When Tim decided to read it out, then they catch themselves. But they damn well knew very, very well that it was a fact that he upgraded and built 106 schools. But they're just trying to get the population to show that, the press that is, you know, just try to downplay that. Until Tim spoke about that and tried to name the names one by one by one, then you should have seen their faces in Parliament that day, all bending down their heads like in shame for asking that question. You know, I was there. I saw it. I saw it. He read out the 106 schools. It took him about a little over an hour to do so.
And I mean, we had social media. Uh, Team was denying this fact and in ridiculing the UNC and in all sorts of way for the last
Correct.
years
Correct.
on radio station. I mean, you name it.
Yes.
Making up all sorts of lies and stuff like. Where are they today? Where are they?
This
Where's their voice?
this is
You
the
know?
thing. They hang their head in shame. There's the one who's saying Kamala not fit. She can't be prime minister. She have lost so much elections before. Or once she's there, the UNC can't win. Where
Yeah,
are all of them
but
right
yeah,
now?
did she really lose?
Right.
Did she really lose? We need
This
an
is
investigation on that. While we in
yes,
government, those elections has to be reevaluated. What took place there? That's
yep,
another thing to investigate it.
yes, and that whole EBC saga in 2020, what transpired out of that, you know, because the evidence suggests that the seats like Labrie and Lahore contending were all UNC were winning there, and that last hour of voting, what they allowed the PNM to implement, you only see army trucks bringing in boxes. Who was monitoring that? Who was not no analysis was done on these things. And that's why I'm a bit worried why the core administration on the NATEX, the guys inside who doing the planning and strategy things, at least start to put, motion in place to fight the next election. Don't wait. Don't wait. Get your communication and PR team going. Let them know what is being achieved based on the promises made and the development plans or the growth pose, as they say, and how much is that is being activated and when it's due for completion and so on. So, last Monday they had a meeting, or this past Monday there was a meeting in Pinal where the Prime Minister gave it a 60-day or actually a 64-day update on what has been achieved thus far. you know. But we should not have to rely on a meeting like that coming every month or every 2 months. Okay? That PR and communication team must be able to hit that right away, and spread it all over the news over and over again. So, so that the communities be can be apprised of what's happening on a real-time basis rather than having to wait at the end of a month or 2 months to get the details. So that's my contribution for that side of things.
I've never seen the fiasco with the URP budget there.
Oh yes, yes. That Gary, can you imagine that feeding trough? Boy, was a real feeding trough for friends and family of the PNM.
But it is mind-boggling because knowing that the fact that the amount of people suffering in the country out of work and to see the large sum of money being paid to these people and this money was really allocated to maintain the country. The gross negligence you see with our team going out there now and having to clean up and trying to prepare to prevent the flooding, and and all these disasters could have been worse. The amount of cleanup they had to do, seeing the fact that the amount of money we spent and the money wasn't utilized to do what it was allocated for. I mean, somebody had to make a jail for that. Somebody
And,
had to make a jail.
and not only that, more of half of them never assumed duties for these
Exactly, and we have a
positions.
long history of that. We have a long history of that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, so they never assumed duties. They were just collecting money, as they say, under false pretenses. But then again, it was all supporters
As
of the
far as
ruling
I'm
party.
concerned, that's a crime that should be prosecuted.
Of course, it should be. So then, you know, they will answer their own question.
The
Where the
line
money
minister
going?
over that has to be give account. I see Dr. Munilal has invited the former Minister of Energy to meet
Yeah.
and to clarify some of the the information that has that's developed there, and to meet with
Well,
the team.
well, the latest one was Dr. Munila stressed that it's a 1 billion US dollars is unaccounted for.
Not one.
Yeah, 1 billion US or 7 billion TT.
Okay.
Yeah, that he has been able to save the country that by reorganizing the contracts, you know, with respect to petroleum and all the oil and gas.
And I'm sure they're going to find more. I am sure they're going to find more as they go along.
Yeah, but that's a serious amount. And now I hear Stuart Young saying that it's the fault of the permanent secretary and the technocrats at the ministry. They were the ones who made that mistake. Once had to cover their butts already, he checked them today. He's saying that the PSs and the technocrats were the ones who made that mistake. How can he make a $1 billion US mistake? Those were the 17 trips and so on. That is predicated on that, all the trips he made to Venezuela with the dragon gas deal with Maduro, you know, in psycho narcotic dealer.
Well, they was limited on what they could find and see under the PNM. Now they're finding new things all of a sudden in the ministry, under the Ministry of Energy, where the various oil companies can find various locations of resources for oil and gas in Trinidad within our borders.
Yeah, that is the oil and gas sector. What about the, government sector, state corporations and so on? What was the
Yeah, yeah, but
CEO?
I'm just referring to they couldn't find these things before under PNM. Now they're finding it.
Yeah. What was this, the salary of the guys in Wassa, CEO in Wassa? The new guy who they brought in, 110,000 TT, plus perks. So when the Minister of Public Utilities pull the plug on them, oh, you should hear Marvin Gonzalez be discriminating against the PNM appointments. Well, if this is the process to clean up the damn system, well, that will be, you know, I think for the next couple of years, 1 or 2 years, there's a lot of cleaning up be done, a lot of things that were hidden will come to light, and I think that people have to be persecuted for this. This is a crime against the public population of Trinidad and Tobago. It is people's money. It's not the politicians' money. So they should be incriminated as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the inconvenience to the citizens. I mean, the suffering that they have caused. These are not things to be taken lightly.
No, no, no. It should never be taken lightly. It should be, people should be prosecuted. uncharged, and whatever the penalty is, they should suffer the consequences. I firmly believe that. Because if they get away scot free, next thing, any other party coming on the street and say, there's a precedent set, man. They don't jail no politician. You know, they don't jail no politician. Trinidad is a free for all. You could do whatever you want to do. So it becomes a free for all that time. So put things in place, prosecute who you have to prosecute, and jail who you have to jail. Because right now, just by Stuart Young's statement today or yesterday, he already deflecting his shortcomings to the PS and the technocrats. Remember, Gary, I said that from day one. From day one, I told the same, program, in the same program, that is what is happening, that is what was happening all the time. The ministers instructed the PSs to do what the ministers wanted, not based on the rules of the public service, so that, they can get their activities going, and the same will go for all the permanent secretaries and technocrats and special advisors and so on. Who made those decisions, Is the minister responsible, or the personnel in his or her ministry responsible? So the shifting of the blame has already started. So that's another question we have to really follow right through and see. I saw the Minister of Health.
Dr. Akram Vinu.
They were in Tobago.
Right.
You're right, and I saw them there, I guess, looking at whatever shortcomings were going on in the Scarborough General Hospital. So I was not aware, or I'm still not aware of what transpired over the last couple of days, because the hospital was, sort of like in a quarantine. All elective surgeries and so on were postponed, and they urge residents of Tobago do not come to the hospital because it's, packed.
I think the system got overwhelmed, and according to what I
Yeah,
understand,
it was
but
packed.
Dr. Budu, I guess, will be looking into all those, all those issues, that took place there.
Well, they closed it for 48 hours, so one wonders why and how can that happen, and how come everything returned back to normal within 48 hours? It's not. Was it a scare? Was it another COVID scare? What? I don't know. I think Dr. Ramu may be one of the best person
Well,
to answer.
according to what I understand, is that the system just got overloaded. We didn't get nothing in reference to that aspect.
Well,
You know,
again, that could be PR. We don't know. We
yeah.
don't know. A system can't just come up like, unless there is something external happening that the population was not, you
Well,
know.
they definitely have to add resources. I mean, just like our health centers across the country, where we need to move. I know there was some extended hours. We need to move in a direction where additional staffing to address minor issues. Not things that you don't get the hospital flooded with things that can be handled at the health center. So these are things that we need to put in place, but at the same time, also we have to find the funding, being that the PNM basically bankrupt the country
Exhausted.
so badly,
Yeah.
especially in this last rounds there, with everybody trying to raid the treasury on their escape on their way out. you know. So with all our good intention and plan of action, we do have to find the funding for it. And we have our team out there, working on that. We have Dr. Munilal working on getting the energy structure, resources up and going, and it's taking some work. And they're assembling, various team. I see the former Minister of Energy as part of that team
Yes.
to help get Petrostring going, and the I believe is the Guaracara refinery with our,
Refinery, yeah, it's called a refinery. The Point of View refinery is called a Guaracara refinery because of the Guaracara. It's in this area called Guaracara.
oh, that's why they call it that way. Okay.
Yeah, then there's a river, the one adjoining or on the outskirts of the Point of View refinery is the
Yeah, because I got
Guaracara.
confused with it. I thought maybe they're referring to a new location that we had
No,
somewhere
no, no.
additional, but I didn't
It's called,
realize it was Point of Pierre they were talking about.
yeah, the Point of View refinery. On the perimeter is one side of the refinery is the Guaracara River. There was an incident last week. There some oil seepage into the river,
Well,
and
I
they
mean,
had to
we
report.
don't know what has deteriorated with everything seized up there. So, I mean, we would definitely need. I mean, the good thing is about we have all the former
Yeah,
engineers and people from the OWTU who was involved in the production there, who knows the refinery as the back of their hand. And these people who just has to evaluate the situation and get a cost factor on how it would cost us to revitalize it.
that is what they want to do, and I'm glad they gave them a 2 months timeline. By October we should have that report.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So they
they're not skylarking with that at all. They go moving full pace ahead, and I think Dr. Munilal assembled quite a competent team, a very competent team. When I look at the board of directors of the three companies that involved with Petrotrin or have linkages with Petrotrin in a big way, that is quite a competent board he has there, and headed by former Minister of Energy before Ms. Ramnarayan, Kevin Ramnarayan.
yeah,
So
yeah. So I mean,
I
Kevin,
think,
he knows what he's doing, and he has the international contacts and relations to to engage with foreign investors and stuff like that. He has that kind of capability. He's
so
an internationally recognized and associated guy.
yes, he's a competent individual. And I think the first decision they have to make after the investigations are completed is it worthwhile to restart the refinery?
Oh, I
So
definitely
when
believe it'll be worthwhile. There's a matter of getting the
yes,
the
but
things flushed out because we
they
were
have
doing the business. We have the potential to do good business. We have India that is going to do a lot of trade with that aspect. And India demands a lot of energy for all their production. So we have a good customer there with India alone. I mean, and China, and then the disruption in the Middle East is gonna it's gonna benefit us too. So I think the potential is still there. It's just a matter of getting up and running.
so they have to do it in order. So we have to justify, if it's worthwhile in our interest to bring back the refinery, and just on the just the look of it, everybody will say yes, it is worthwhile because of the cost savings we can incur rather than buying oil from Jamaica and all over the places
But
who
nobody
don't
can
have
beat
the oil
that.
at all.
Nobody can beat us in the region with the production that we were doing, and
Nobody.
we still have the resources there. It's
And
just
the
a matter of
human,
getting the system going.
yes, Gary, but the most important thing there is the human capital, and that resides in the people in the South Planet.
Right,
Oil
but
people.
the people, it's not 100 years. It's just like about 10 years. But the fact that the people who ran this show and kept it effective, they are around, and
Yeah,
the experts are there. The
correct.
OWTU guys are there. They are ready to go. It's just a matter of getting the thing going. They are very anxious to get this thing going.
Yes, so you see, so the first thing is that is it worthwhile? And definitely it is worthwhile based on the average man in the street. But they will want to see concrete figures. Yes, okay, is it worthwhile? Then I guess the next thing is how much is it going to cost? Now, that is the critical question given the extent, because oil refineries do not come cheap.
Now
So,
here's now another instance where the PNM has cost us because we have to spend more than we should be spending because
correct,
because of the
correct,
cost factor in revitalizing because of the damages done by having the machinery sit still there and the amount and the years of negligence there of lack of maintenance. We're going to have a lot of work to do. It's going to be costly, but
very
it
costly.
is going to worth our while.
Yes, and we hope that within this 5 years it can start to bring positive cash flows in foreign exchange for us, because that was the main economic driver. That when closed, when that was closed by the PNM, is where the people suffered to get foreign exchange, because that was a net foreign exchange earner. So it's we're hoping that the same thing can accrue now, that this refinery can get the recommended funding once it's approved, and put the timeline on it. I think they're looking at 2 to 3 years for full start, operational startup. So you see that it's already 3 years, and 2 more years will be our next general election. So first that they get the funding to start up this thing, and then given the length of time the refinery has been sitting there, a lot of deterioration would have been taking place, and things mechanically as well. Once something sits there and not being used, it tends to deteriorate faster than normal. Not to mention the amount of thefts and so on for pipelines and all these other operational issues that have to be dealt with. Vandalizing of the houses, the other assets in the Point of Pay area that belong to Petrotrin that had been vandalized too.
I think within a few months we can do it. I know the guys will work, or should work, around the clock to get this thing going. You would have to schedule things in shifts so that you're not just working on an 8 hour day and you're just consistently working on the revitalization of the refinery. You're getting all the mechanical things either replaced or cleaned up and the machinery going, but there's a lot of cleanup. You're going to have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, not only that, but I would really, really like to see that we have coordination and cooperation with our neighbors, South American neighbors there, Guyana and Suriname. Once we can get that pipeline going from there to the east coast of Trinidad, and then there is automatic. We already have two major pipelines from east coast that feeds all these power plants and the whole of Point Lisas. We call them the big 48-inch line. There are two of them. Come straight from Amoko, where Moko was in Guayagari. So, you see, with that, it's going to be our online infrastructure is already built out. So, is the marine infrastructure from either Guyana or Suriname or both can, can guarantee us, Trinidad that is, a continuity of the natural gas supply. And once we can have that, we can make sure, or that will ensure that the various plants in Port Lisas, or the 4 or 5 train, one of the trains is down at this time. So there are just four more these LNG power trains up. One of them because of the shortage of natural gas. So it's imminent that we get that continuity of supply of natural gas going in the short term, because all the urea plants and nitrogen plants and so on in the Point Lisa's area are all dependent upon natural gas as their feedstock. So that's why this thing is critical for the survival of Trinidad and Tobago. Because if they do not, go after this getting the pipeline, it means that we have to start drilling new wells off the coast of Tobago, and that infrastructure is not built out. So in one case, you have the overland infrastructure in Trinidad already from the east coast, but you don't have it from Tobago to Trinidad. So, uh, given that scenario, we have to look and see which one can come first to the market, because these things just can't be done in
So
1 year or two
it
years.
means there's some resources in Tobago that we haven't touched yet.
Oh yeah, there are several. Most of the is fled in what's considered, and I'm putting this in quotes, what is considered Tobago waters. Now that issue has to be resolved. How can it be tell me an island of Trinidad and Tobago, and then on the flip side you tell me Tobago has its own territorial waters? Is it is it the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, or is it separate Trinidad, separate Tobago? What these things have to be finalized, Gary, unless because Tobago is looking at self
Say,
autonomy.
at this stage, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is under restriction by Tobago in accessing these resources. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. Tobago is claiming that they should have the rights to the production fields in its territorial waters called Block 22 and so on. That's off the coast of northeast coast of Tobago. So that's and a couple of other wells have been drilled and capped. Capped meaning that they have found reserves, good reserves, and they have kept it. Capped it meaning the companies that did the exploration, one of them was Superior Energy out of Canada, and they have been able to cap those gas wells and so on. So there are issues that has to be resolved. Is it going to be um, for Tobago's benefit or all of Trinidad and Tobago? Because when in the early days, 60s, 70s, and 80s, most of the oil came from the Southland, but then most of that resources from the Southland was used to fund the northern and other sectors of Trinidad, not the South. You know, Guayagari, um, Mayaro, Labre, Point 14, and Santa Flora, together with Point Bay. These were the main areas. This is where we got all the oil, but these are the areas, mine whole of Trinidad and Tobago, but mostly North Trinidad. The people did not get the benefits. The people in South really did not see the benefits of all these monies earned from oil production. So this whole question of how is the current government going to treat with Tobago's autonomy, and if
Prime
Tobago gets
Minister.
its autonomy, then they can lay claim to the resources there, and some ratio has to be worked out as to how much is of that resource is Trinidad and how much is Tobago. So that's a quite a ticklish issue that the government will be facing unless it can be ascertained that it is Trinidad and Tobago. So there is no question of who is Tobago waters or Trinidad waters. It's Trinidad and Tobago waters. So that
Well,
is
if
the main issue.
the government is the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the refinery is in Trinidad. Tobago doesn't have a refinery, right? It's Trinidad people that goes to Tobago all the time there to get everything up and running. So I mean, Tobago will benefit, yes,
but at the same time they can't be act in a way that they want total control of this the order because it's in their in that area there. They cannot act like that at all.
So that's why I said that this thing has to be resolved first and foremost. The autonomy bill, that's what it's called, the autonomy bill. That has to be clarified as to what is the meaning of that autonomy bill. And part of that, from my understanding, is that the land mass that we call Tobago, land mass meaning both the land area and the marine area of Tobago has to be identified what is Tobago and what is Trinidad. So unless these things, niggling issues have been resolved, there's always going to be contention and, you know, which the politicians will use. Trust me, they're going to use that big time. They say that all these resources belong to Tobago, most of the wealth being generated in Trinidad coming from Tobago waters. But when the same thing was happening from south, when all the refineries and Petrotrin and Trintok and Petro, Tesoro and Amoco and so on, all these were based in south. And yet we never saw the benefits to the extent that people in the north saw. Yeah, people in the north were not producing any oil. So let's see how this plays off. Yeah, both the THA and the assembly in Tobago, as well as the government of Trinidad, so to speak, have to come to some consensus as to how this thing is going to be resolved. You know, so these are pending issues yet, but I don't think, you know, these things can be resolved on its own over time. This is not pressing because right now we have to try to kickstart the economy. We have to try to kickstart a lot of the
I,
petrochemical plants in.
I think the relationship between the Tobago team there and the government will be less hostile in comparison to how Dr. Rowley was acting and his team there, you know, between us and
Oh yeah, well he really suffered the people in Tobago and his fellow citizens from Tobago. They felt the brunt of his rule in Trinidad. He really suffered them, and you know what was the point paying themselves? They went ahead and gave contracts in Tobago to their friends and family again. And when they lost the election, the current THA was saddled with over $1 billion in debt. Over $1 billion in debt. And the same crap that happens as they're discovering now that, you know, this friend and that friend and so on, um, who 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 signed off on those contracts, what was that for, what was the extent, and all these things remain up in the air. A lot of things was for infrastructure development. Sometimes less than half was done, and the quality of work was so shoddy, yet they're claiming big monies for these things. And the current THA has to find money to pay the P&M contractors for their misgivings. So you see, the same thing what happened in Trinidad is the same thing as what happened in Tobago. That same way that the present UNC government is saddled with debts which were incurred by P&M is the same thing as happened in Tobago. The identical thing. The current TPP government has to be paying off the debts of friends and family of the P&M. It's and they don't have the money. We don't have the money in Trinidad to do it for ourselves. Because now you see how many the losses and so on. No wonder their foreign exchange all dried up and went to the hands of just a few people. You know, so it's something
well,
as
we have to reclaim the money. We have to reclaim it, and we can't play nice.
That's what I'm saying. So somebody had to make drill. A lot of people, a lot of people had to be making drill to find out who took those decisions. Who took those decisions, who authorized it. As Stuart Young is saying, it's not him, but the permanent secretary and the technocrats. Well, blame already started shifting from ministers to, you know, employees in the ministry. So let's see how this pans out. You know.
We will see who signed the document, right? Who gave the authorization, right? The final signature, right?
Yeah, but the
Somebody
whole
has to
point,
sign, right?
final things have to be authorized by the PS or a board, or if it's a state-run company, is a board. But if it's a ministry, the PS is the head of the accounting unit. He or she is responsible for any project, yes or no. That is, I'm not hearing you, Gary. I think you're breaking up.
You not hear me at all?
Right now, I'm hearing you. Yeah.
Yeah, Shorten was trying to say it was the board and the PS that made the decisions, and he had no idea what he's trying to say. Is that what he's trying to
Correct.
say?
Yeah, yeah. That's the
Yeah,
reason.
he
That's
had
the
no idea
reason.
that he managed the thing poorly, right? Is still he's the line minister. He's responsible. How much monitoring did he do? How much supervision did he do? How many meetings did he have? I mean, these things don't
In,
run by.
in short, Gary, what happened is that under the PNM, all the technocrats and all the permanent secretaries and all the and all the heads of department have to toe the PNM line. Meaning they take instructions from the minister, line minister, and not the PS. So the line minister tells the PS, hey, you know what? I know you're saying that this project is not feasible, but I am the minister here. You have to prove it for me so I can go ahead and implement. And that is what went on. So that's what I'm saying. Remember, I said from the beginning, all these PSs have to be fired. They're grounds. All the PSS administrative officers, senior and junior, as well as technocrats and advisors and so on, have to be fired
Well, if you
because they
commit
all broke the law.
a certain amount of offenses, I mean, you cannot be beyond the law and untouchable. If you have done certain things to be fired, you should be fired.
Correct. That's what I said. First meeting we had, I said, this is where the problem lies. The same problem was there in 1986, same problem in 1995, same problem a little bit in 2001, and the identical problem in 2010. Here is it 2025, the same problem is rearing its ugly head again. And, who is the one to incriminate or terminate the defaulting officers? Who is the one to do that? I felt that they should all be jailed and they should not be given any sort of pension or gratuity or anything like that for breaching the laws. That would be my personal opinion, because you've broken the laws of the land. So don't expect any gratuity or pension coming
But
from the land.
not just a matter of breaking the laws. You cause a lot of people to suffer in the country because of
Correct.
doing,
Yes. Yes. That
and for me, that's
hardship
totally unacceptable.
that hardship of people. But you look at all these people, and to both, Gary, most of the PSs and them ended up in state boards, not one and two and three, sometimes five and six state boards for helping the PNM to implement projects by giving the go ahead, even though they know that those projects were not feasible. They give the permission, and that's what I'm saying. They should be held accountable.
PNM country, we go win again. Don't worry, we could do what we want. It's just
Correct.
The justice system is ours. The police and the army is ours. You know who gonna stop we? We is boss.
right? And you see, as you see the same URP problem, where were the PSAs who were approving these monies? Or where was the board in URP who are approving these monies for people who never showed up for work, but it's all friends and family? You know, this manager, that manager, this one is, they were towing, because they were towing the party line and so on, they were campaign managers, and so they got the contracts, this thing, and they were the ones who employed the people, and mostly friends and family. That's what I said. It's a feeding trap without accountability, and that is the thing. Without accountability, that's why you could say these private corporations, URP, CPEP, and so on, they were not never audited. These things were deliberately done, because if they were audited every year, it would have got red flags. Red flags as to why certain expenditure took place. And given that no auditing was done, so that after 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, oh, nobody is going to do that again, when you should have been doing that every year. So now we have to do a 10-year audit, auditing of these state companies. How many state companies we have? Close to 150. And when is that going to be done? Who is going to do that? When will that be completed? Some of the directors may have passed along, who made those decisions. So you see, it's quite a mess when you don't do or follow the rules of doing an annual audit, external audit, not internal audit, external audit. So those things were not done.
Dr. March, welcome, Dr. March.
Oh, how are you all? Okay. Where are you going?
Good, how things.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you guys as usual. You're holding the fort, so to speak. I didn't see much about Trinidad people showing up, but we could hold the fort in the meantime, as you all
Yeah,
are doing, you and Gary and a couple
I,
others.
I did
I,
I did try to get a few people, but it didn't work out. So and we still
No,
had Dr.
yeah, Trinidad people is like that. They're like that.
But Dr.
They
Rambo come.
can't. They're not really. They're not. It takes a little. I don't know how. Many of them, not all of them, of course, but um, so a lot of people like that, So where the hell? I know.
Come in, why
That kind of thing. Yeah.
come
It's
in?
lackadaisical, Trinity time. You all walking up your head for nothing. Them fellas have it all under control. What's your problem? You're so much. You're making so much noise every night. What's the matter with you? You
yeah,
know.
but we are
So we
here.
got to understand. We understand where these people are coming from. I
Yeah,
hope they reply because they will. A lot of them will disagree with me because I am not the run of the mill kind of guy. If they, I mean, to Gary, anytime you guys are roughing up the people a little too much, let me know because I'll let them know like it is. I mean, in my stint in Trinidad, I had to carve my way into the PNM stronghold. So I was not fortunate to appeal to a certain section of society. I had to appeal to the other section of society. And lo and behold, I was supported in many cases. And I was in so what I'm saying is that I, I understand what I was listening a while, but what Sumit was saying, it seems as though he's toting a heavy load. I hope I'm getting it wrong, but he has a heavy load, and no doubt he might say that there's a heavy load to be done, and I wish that load can take him somewhere by all of us wanting a better Trinidad and Tobago. So the load that you're carrying is good, but it sounds a little heavy. I mean, listen to what you're saying. You repeated. I was out here on for about 5 minutes now, and I was hearing Swimming talking about the The same thing, rehab happening all over. The problem that they were confronting them in 1995, confronted again in 2010, and confront them again in 2025. That is the reality you have to deal with. And if hopefully not, but if the PLM comes back in and the UNs and whoever go back in, that will be repeating itself. So get used to it. We have to you have to focus on changing minds. So I'm not, so I kind of strategic in what I'm normally. I'm more practical to get, like, if you observe the question I ask um Ned some a few weeks back about give me your playbook. Yes, I know, we know what is to be done. Give me the script. I don't have the script yet. Yes, so go back to the shelf, pull on the articulation agreement, and give me the script tomorrow morning. Who will be doing what, when, and what to get it going. So, so I left that for because I noticed that someone is talking a lot about government and personnel in the department and kind of lackadaisical and all the kinds of issues that comes with governments. And you know how I don't like governments, especially most of them who cannot perform anyway. So, be that as it may, let me just add to change it a little, change the focus a little bit, and tell you that I haven't read the papers today. I said, I don't know what is being said. I looked at it, glanced at it yesterday, but I didn't look at yesterday. I don't know if Gary sent me any, or anybody did, but I didn't look at any paper today. So I don't know what the last conversation is. I even missed the Thursday thing because I had to work that day, and I was in the subway when the meeting was going on. So I don't know what is the latest, but so forgive me if I am kind of out of date, sort of. So something I've been mentioning over and over, and because I'm not getting a good response from many of the people who are in this meeting, it goes like this. Let me start with the first thing. I said it before, that this meeting that they had, I think it was in Jamaica, that they had the CARICOM meeting, which is, we are part of CARICOM. So we could have all the nitty-gritty of some of you. I think you were talking about Trinidad and Tobago and the waters of Trinidad. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm just checking my device here. You guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Gary.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Doc. What I was saying is that some information was released here with by Ken Ali.
I'm not hearing you.
The information was released by Ken Ali about the corruption in the URP. And I don't know if I had posted that information. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it.
No. Could you
There were
briefly
people
give me an idea,
being
because I have my
paid
opinion about what they. Yeah, go ahead.
exorbitant amount of money, not showing up on the job. They were paying them, how to say, social activists and media personality that was being paid an exorbitant amount of money. That the amount of money that was how to say, allocated, money utilized, and there's no accountability for that money, how it was spent. And there's a breakdown there. Suman, I sent it to you also. Can you read it out while I
had a good look at it, Gary.
Yeah. Summarize, because I know where you're going with this. So just summarize what you. But I don't want to, because I can answer that for you, because I know what they are. But it seems to know where you go. I know what you're going with. Go ahead, because I have an idea what you're saying.
According to the reports coming out with Kennedy, is the URP, projects, a lot of them were only for friends and family of the PNM, who never assumed duties, but paid every month.
Right, that's fine. That we know, we know that. That's fine. Go ahead.
And the millions of dollars there, that were unaccounted for. What was the role? This is my question. What was the role of the PSAs and its administrative staff in all of that?
Well, I understand.
You have people paying like $10,000 a month. You have people paying that was not shown. We have a person paying $6,325 as some kind of let's see here.
But
PNM office is paid.
They never
Right. So that,
assumed.
4,140 a month in
so
URP
right.
as
So
a
that is
material
not, that is not
supervisor, but
right.
never
So that is
done
not,
any such duties.
yeah, that's fine.
PNM
That's
General
fine.
Counsel pulls down 6,325 a month as an assistant regional manager, and they don't show up on the job. So do you understand? I mean, with the
Yeah.
amount of money
And,
spent here, um, and and nothing to show for it, and you understand why the country is in such a dilapidated state, because these are money that was supposed to spend to maintain the country, infrastructure, the roads, the drain, and those kind of stuff, and
yes.
the X amount of money spent. The money spent.
Yes.
Let me see here.
Yes.
Over of the 300 million allocated to URB for the current
Right.
fiscal year,
Yes.
$231 million was spent or drawn out,
Yes.
right? With
Right.
only 2 million spent on goods and services. So 231 million was
Yeah.
pulled out, but only
Yeah.
2 million was actually spent on goods and services, right?
Right.
In the remainder, there has assigned the remainder has been assigned to payroll, but the initial
Yeah.
study found that over a quarter of the 16 named person employee work, 1,600 employee work, or what, only about 1,100 people on the monthly paid post roster.
Right. Yeah.
So,
But,
Dr. Tomorrow night you could come out and kind of recap on it, but I just want to give you a quick rundown on that.
no, no, no. What you're saying there is not strange to me that this is happening, because the URP is a conduit to siphon resources from the state to the diehards who keep them for so long. So that is the issue that has been going on for quite a while. I mean, that's not breaking news, really. I mean, what you all said there was, in terms of money was paid and it cannot account for it. That's different than saying money was given to the employees and they did nothing. So that responsibility and accountability for performance, that is not an issue. The issue is,
Yeah,
if
but Doc, it
people,
is a big issue, because look at the
no, it is
exorbitant
not. It
amount
is
of
not. It
money.
is not because this is the
I mean, it
URP
can
program
unfit.
by the URP program by the PNM is to siphon resources to the followers, to the diehards, and so on. That has been always the case. What is strange that you added there is to see that monies were paid to contractors and they cannot account for it. That's a different. That's what I said the other night. If there's malfeasance, please find it, and let those accountable pay for it. But if it's a non-performance, that's normal. That is not normal. But here's the bigger problem with those kinds of things. The issue of URP and let me call them the underprivileged society in Trinidad, and underserved, and under all the PNM diehards who is having this issue, because the PNMs themselves have sown the seed of dependency among these followers, who are now saying that they need the bread because they don't have food to eat and they need this food. So that dependency is a systematic parasitic symbiosis from orchestrated by the PNM, and it has been a serious problem all along. And even when the UNC government will try to change it, they will have a hard time changing it. So they have to tread cautiously in that area. But indeed, if the law is broken, I would not encourage that at all, please. But I urging you all in the UNC to tread cautiously, because that situation there is something that you have to be careful with, because it has been going on ever since, even before the PNA was in power. There was a dependency syndrome by a section of society who depend on the state for handout to survive. Those of you who live in New York City would know what I'm talking about. But Trinidad has their own kind of New York City when that dependency syndrome that you all are dealing with. And I understand that the contractors didn't
Well,
register the
it's more,
company.
as far as I see, it's more than dependency here. This is a super highway robbery here, and people living large at the expense of the state, while we have people in the country suffering, and this cannot, for me, cannot float with me at all.
Okay.
This cannot
Go
float
ahead.
with me because it's too much. It's like what? You looking at what? About more than 80% of the money and 20% of the money utilized? No
If you
way,
can
that
be,
can't fly.
if you can find the wrongdoers and find the wrong to bring back the money, I all with you. But
But they have
I
social
would not.
media activists and media person and getting a big salary and not doing nothing and not even showing up on the job. I'm talking about like $10,000 a month, while you have people begging for a little 10 days here and there, right? Trying to feed their family. In the meantime, this is what was going on in the country. We cannot allow that. We cannot accept that. We cannot let that brush under the carpet. No way, sir.
I agree with Gary 100% because if we let this system to continue, the press in Trinidad is we have to know who the press is. They are anti-UNC. They have always been like that. It's pro-PNM press. So they will try to bring out and say, "Oh, you are discriminating against a black man." This kind of racial tone is what they're trying to push.
So what? So
But
what they're
why?
trying to tell me is only black man was hired under URP and CPEP. Is that what they're trying to tell us?
Well, you read the comments and you
Yeah,
see,
yeah, yeah.
Gary.
No, no, I know, but you
Yeah,
have to go
yeah,
back at them at this.
yeah.
So then there was bias and prejudice in the hiring practices, right?
And
So
UNC
CPEP,
must
CPEP
uphold
only
that.
and URP only represent Afro trainees. Is that what they're trying to tell us?
Exactly, that's what the press is saying. And the minister opposition is harping on that. But who says the UNC has to follow that? You have to break the cycle somewhere.
I
And
don't tell you guys that we have to fire right back at these people and don't let them slide at all.
because, Dr. Maharaj, with all due respect, what I'm saying is the actuality. I'm not making anything up. I'm saying these things happened before 86, 95, 2000, 2010, and the same repeat is going on. Who is going to break the cycle? Who is going to put things right? Okay, if we don't put these things right, a lot of people might start to think, well, then it was useless voting for UNC because all these scams and bubbles and all this crap that happened under PNM, it just swept under the carpet. I
Welcome, Rob.
understand where you're coming from. Truly, I understand where you're coming from. You have to tread very carefully. But at the same time, you have to punish people for all these crimes they did against the rest of the population who was struggling. That is my point.
Well,
I have seen and heard too many people suffer in the country within the last, 10 years in the country there. I have seen, bold face and blatant abuse by this government. So, I mean, for me, totally unacceptable.
And to top of everything, the whole damn system is broken. Everything is broken in Trinidad. There's not one ministry or one state that is functioning properly. What prevents them from getting an external audit every year? That was
but
deliberately planned and done like that.
but we like it so.
Well, we like it so UNC got a new mandate. The new mandate was to correct these misgivings.
But the thing about it, if you notice, we with the people, we were up against a court system backing up the corruption, right? Basically, all right. So I mean, you had the police, to there to shut you up if you try to make too much noise. Again, that's another thing that was working against you. So how do you proceed? So you need some serious backup in order to make the noise.
And that is what telling me this UNC need to have their PR and communication team going. They should have that going to convey the messages that are being, what things are being done and accomplished. Don't wait for the meeting like they did on Monday, where come to say after 64 days we did this. No, no, no.
Doc,
They
listen
will
to this. Listen to this. The daughter of a former URP kingpin has been on the payroll, right? And they were getting paid while in the university.
one of them was in Barbados. Cave Hill
One
campus.
was in Barbados, one was in St. Augustine, right? So here it is. So let's see here. A project evaluation officer for 5,175 a month, right? Then that was the one at Cape Hill, and let's see here. P&M constitute activist pocket 5,750 a month as an absentee quality control officer. So the quality control officer was absent and getting paid. Now they're saying over 300 million allocated, 231 million has been drawn, and only 2 million are really accounted for, right? I mean, really listen to this. And over of the actual employees, there is a 10,000 a month special project coordinator who does not who does clerical duties at the escrow head office. A secretary at the political office is paid as a URP engineer. The audit revealed that at least 150 million in the current financial year has gone to a ghost system that includes registered monthly and daily paid employees. There is at least 80 gang bosses who submit names for monthly payments.
So
So,
if we
Doc,
allow,
you use the financial man. Tomorrow night, you have to come back on. You have to look at this information and come back on with us.
No, I know there is wrongdoing in there. The AG said that he will go after them, and I'm done. The AG is doing what he's supposed to do, and I'm done with that. My job, I have a bigger job than that. You come to the thing, the finance, they have a budget coming up and looking for ideas. So I want to give some ideas, really. Because I know for the budget is more important right now than going after pennies. They'll find wrongdoers and they'll find wrongdoing and let it fall where that may. But in the meantime, we have to do some more important things, such as running a country. Like I said this a few times before.
Yeah, well, we
So
had to revamp the refinery. We had to get that going. The Ministry of Trade doing the things. Dr. Mulilal is working with British Petroleum and the various, producers of the oil business there, and they are finding things that they could not be found under the P&M, and they have a team assembled with the former Minister of Energy, Kevin Ramnarine, and he is working with that team looking at how to revitalize the refinery. And you have all the OWTU people underneath them that is going to be working alongside them there. All the experts are still around. So, I mean, we're not lacking the expertise. It's just a matter of the cost factor in revitalizing all those machines that seized up and, getting it going and all these things, and they have to upgrade the technology.
Right. So let me deviate what I wanted to say. I will leave what I want to say for our next night because we don't have time for that. So let me talk about
No, you got all the time you want.
No, you don't have because my stuff will take about half an hour, and we don't have
All
half
right.
an hour.
Well, go ahead.
So
You got it. You got it.
Let me answer.
I'll give you. I'll give you half hour. I'll give you half
hour. The second
hour.
question. Yeah, but I want to answer the second question you raised. The one about the refinery. Let me. I know what you all saying or what you all are thinking, but this is how I understand it. When the when the UNC campaign with all the 3 trade unions and everything else, they promised to reopen the refinery. So that committee that they have, I hope is not testing the feasibility of whether or not we should open the refinery, but how to open the refinery and how quick we can get it done. And what is the plan B in motion, plan A and B, to have it running, say, within 4 weeks. Something like that we're talking about. So it is not by saying whether I hope, I don't know what in terms of references, but I hope that committee is not to find out whether or not we should float the company. That answer has already been solved. They promised in the campaign to do it. If they want to back and say, well, it is not feasible anymore, they better come down with
that is not a question at all, because it's not a matter of it not feasible. We have to just evaluate the cost factor of getting it up and running. That is what we have to do. It's not a matter of if or maybe here. No, go ahead.
So whatever the committee is doing is not, as you said, the to finding the finances and how much you need it and when can you start and how quick can you get it started and what is the implication of getting it done and what's the implication of not getting it done? What are the pros and cons? A good feasibility analysis. A new study had to be done. This time you're doing it from financial perspective, not from plenty to don't bring in no economists to start with because them fellas don't know anything about what we're talking about here. So you'll have to get this thing sort. The accountant maybe, but many of those engineers that you have might associate with what I'm saying. So you have to get the project in place because I understand it is costing them 500 million to keep it open. I'm glad they're doing that because if they didn't do it, the salvage value would have been close to zero by now. So the mothballing was taking place, and that's good. So if the things are ready to go, they only need to work. And this is what I want to mention tonight when you all talk about this refinery, because the UNC government is saying they're not going to get oil from Venezuela because of the sanction or what have you, or blah blah blah, whatever it is again. But they have to have a pretty good idea that Guyana could ask BP and Sunoco, not Sunoco, um, ExxonMobil to siphon some of the gas into Trinidad so it can be refined here. The same thing should be extended to Suriname. I don't know what kind of license they have, the contractors have for doing drilling. Because while they own it, while the government of Guyana own the resources, they have leased it out to BP and ExxonMobil to do the refining on a 50-50 post-cost basis. So that profit that Guyana is getting, they could, because they kind of own the resources, they have to know how far the agreement is they have. They have a 5-year lease or 1-year lease or 2-year lease to sell all the gasoline to the buying company in Louisiana, or could they break the contract and give Trinidad some? All those are. I guess they have a pretty before they decided to do this. Because if you could open the contract and you don't have enough oil to run it, you could open the refinery and don't have enough oil. It's not have enough. Trinidad don't have enough oil to keep it running. So you could end up in a situation you don't have the oil. So in the meantime, I'm sure that Kamla and when they promised this, and including the trade union, when they promised this, they would have a pretty good idea that the Guyana government could chip in here and there, and the Suriname, and maybe if even try to work with Trump and see whether they can get Venezuela, some of Venezuela oil, and have because let Trump. If you ask him, I don't know, I don't want to talk about this guy too much, but if you ask him for a favor, he like this kind of ass licking kind of thing. So if you ask him, he might say, "Well, go right, you're a small country. We have to do business so long. Go right, you ready? You ready?" So he might allow you to buy some gas from Venezuela and all of that kind of. So what I'm saying, that committee should have been running from. I'm surprised it takes so long to get that committee going. But better late than never. Better late than tomorrow. But today is better than tomorrow. So I'm glad they have it done yesterday or whenever. So there are a lot of things to be worked out because Trinidad does not have enough petroleum to keep the Point of Pearl refinery running 24 hours on a 24-hour basis. So they need to have a good regular supply, or else they'll have to start and restart, stop and restart, stop and restart. So
Well,
they know the fellas
the
in there that
problem is,
have this.
Doc,
In
is
there,
that
the fellas in there who are already there, they would know. They would know. And I guess that's why they pick all of these kinds of people to come in there to have ideas. But because I'm not the specialist in this, I just give you a few ideas because you all raised the matter.
yeah, but what
Um,
I'm saying, they are discovering things that not normally could not be discovered on the PNM because the PNM refused to allow the discovery of it. So anyway, Dr. Mulilal, as for well, if you look
Right.
at some
So
of the statements,
right, and that's a good point. And that's what I'm telling you. Keep the economists away. Keep the politicians away. Them fellas don't know anything about what you do. You see that issue
yeah,
that you
but
talk
what
about it?
the point I'm making here is if you look at some of the posters that Dr. Mulilal, they had found some new resources of oil there, and you will see that they are moving forward even within the local vicinity that we are finding things that we can work with. So between the
Right. That's exactly what
international
I'm saying.
deals and
Yeah.
the local resources, I think we can get this thing going. It's a matter of dealing with the infrastructure of the refinery And as Kevin will say, you would also have to look at the technological part will have to be upgraded. I had this conversation with him before. So the technology will be old in the system. So the software and the information technology that manages the refinery will have to be upgraded. But before you get to that part, you have to deal with the physical infrastructure of the refinery, the machinery, what can be utilized, what will have to be replaced, the facilities, everything, all of these things, will have to be examined, and then we take it from there. But like I am fully confident. Why I'm fully confident? Because the people who were running the show are still there. They are involved and they are engaged. So I am fully confident that it's just a matter of time that we will get this thing up and running.
And I understand what you're saying, and just that when you say things that the people who were still there, like I said there the other night with the commissioner, you bring the commissioner. What else does he know? You bring him from inside the bowels of the police service. What is he going to do? What thing new he's going to bring? So he got to fetch ideas to break out of that mold because he came from the system. What new are going to get? The same thing with these people. They bring this old rehashing the same people who failed the company, who run the company to the ground. I hope they don't bring back those. I don't know who they are, but whoever they
No,
are,
those guys who work for the production, them didn't fail the company. It's the government management will fail the company. Them guys didn't fail. The government would like to put the monkey in them back. But them is not the failure. It's the PNM. It's the PNM interference and putting people there, how did I say, square pegs and round holes, putting people who are incompetent like how they condemn Bass and saying it was Petro Singh and not Petro Trin and whoever they put, and people according to party card, and people who were not qualified to do the job. It's the PNM who failed in the marketing end of the company. The production is the guys was working. There was no fault of theirs. They were working hard. Is the government lied? They
I,
didn't fail.
okay, if I may jump in here, I don't know if you guys have any idea what's what are the operational issues in a modern refinery. I can tell you, Pointe-a-Pierre refinery was the second largest in the Western Hemisphere. Today, that mantle is Hess refinery in the U.S. Virgin Islands. My friend works there right now. That's the second largest refinery in the Western Hemisphere. And you know how many employees Hess, that Hess company has in that refinery? Barely 120. Is it all refinery process, everything is technology based. You don't require that 5,000 employees again. That is the old version of doing things effectively. If you want to make something profitable, you have to use the technology, and that is what Hess is using. In fact, Hess was one of the companies that made a bid to buy the Pointe-a-Pierre refinery. So I just let me stick that point in so we'll be better able to
That
analyze.
that point is understood. It is noted. But at the same time, we campaign on employing these people back, and not only that, the technology part of things. You have to get people trained to work on that aspect of things, right?
Correct. So if you want to make something efficient, right? Dr. Maraz is saying that, well, you have to have these things built into the system. You can't have this,
It
you can't do the
Well,
same thing
Suman, it has to be a
always.
combination. It has to be a combination. But you
Correct,
have to fit. You have to work it in. You just can't go abrupt and say you're going all
correct.
technology.
I understand that. I understand, but at the same time, they can't overburden your enterprise. But it's just for hiring people for hiring sake, as was done the last rounds. Because if you want to make something efficient and make it profitable, which is what you need to do, you have to find that right balance.
Yeah, but we can't operate like Trump either. Operate like you're running a business. Remember, you're running a government. How you running your personal business and the
Correct.
government? It's two different things. So you
Ab-
have to create employment. You have to keep a lot of people employed. at the same time, and but at the same time you could, I think you could work it in a way where you're making money and keep them employed too.
Yeah. Well,
So
that
I
is the kind
so
of
I guess so I guess what you guys are saying, it would be nice if you all could get your thoughts together and send it off to the committee. I feel they might want ideas, and I guess what you all are saying might be so. Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't have nothing much to say on that, except that I think that they give it to a committee, and the committee, I rely on the minister and the government to pick the best committee forward to get this thing off the ground. So I hope for the best. If they ask me anything,
Well,
I'll
I'm
answer
just
them.
going on
But
basic common sense.
other than that, I'm done. So here's something that I planning to write about then, or to give. I mean, sometimes I like to charge for the advice I gave, but it depends on what it is. I mean, what the kind of advice I'm going to give. So I want to suggest this, and you're going to tell me if should go forward with it or not. I just last night, the other night when I was criticizing the commissioner of police, who I don't even know. I really calling him his name, but I really meant the system itself, where the TTPS is concerned. I'm really referring to the whole police service. But since he was the head, I kind of gave him the brunt of the burden to bear. What I want to say. I have an idea to tell them that I would like the police to adopt the the carnival policing model, and to do it for maybe like a 1 month basis only, subject to be renewed. If you could, so what do you do for carnival? I mean, some of you know that police everywhere, the sergeant, the inspector, the super, the commissioner, they all on the street everywhere. You see a lot of khaki around. When normally you don't see any khaki around. So all the khakis are hitting the street. Secondly, is
No, that's to impress the guests.
right, to impress the guests, but I want to impress the people of Trinidad now, everybody, because we have the lowest crime in those 2 and 3 days. So I want them to take that model and try and apply it for at least for a month and see how it comes out. The second thing I want to suggest to him, which I'll be writing also to let them, I don't ask him for advice or not, but I will want volunteer. The second thing I would like them to do is to remove all these police they have in offices giving ticket, even the ones that giving ticket, let the ticket agent do the ticketing work, and police must involve on the prevention,
policing.
not even detection much. Because if you prevent, you'll have much to detect. So
Exactly. That's the point. That's the point I've been making for the longest. Go ahead, Doc. Preach,
good,
preach.
very good. Okay, good. So if you have two police situated every mile or half a mile, and you have enough people now to do it because you don't have them doing all kind of social welfare. Let me tell you, they have things like they have a victim unit, and where the police is consoling people who get victimized. That's noble, but pass that on to the psychologists. You come out of that kind of business. Plenty kind of operations they're doing in offices that doing social welfare things in this community, that going to schools and giving lectures and so on. For the time being, put that on hold. Maybe that is not productive to start use police time. And more worse, the commissioner has about 50 policemen. I don't know how much he have now, but 50 police tied up in his office. I don't know how much things he had to do that he needs so many people. They have ranks from super inspector coming down in the police, in the commissioner office alone, which is a big office. They could do it half of that. Maybe, maybe they could do it less police stations and more foot patrol or vehicles, because I understand half of the vehicles still tied up waiting for parts. They can't get the parts and they have it in some park up somewhere. That should go to private enterprise. I think some of you said that before in this meeting somewhere. Somebody said that. Or I know if I said it wrong, but that should be in private enterprise. Private hands should be repairing police vehicles within 5 days. All vehicles should be operational. They got 60 new vehicles the other day. We don't know what happened over it. So if you go to, if you, for example, they're talking about St. Martin Police Station, that's where they have right now. They have the demonstration with the receiver people. St. Martin Police Station have one vehicle. That sergeant will take that vehicle and go to visit a restaurant, because you have to approve the license. So you jump in the vehicle, take a driver and goes over there. He takes a driver. He couldn't drive it himself. He has to go Where's the vehicle? The sergeant went out with the vehicle. We could come, but we have no transportation. Yeah, you should tell me every station have 5 damn vehicle. Dolly one said, put them on the street. The vehicle will be on the street, people everywhere. Nobody in a station. Everybody out, out, out. It's close. Somebody make noise the other night about some police station in somewhere in the middle, Navet, somewhere down in the middle along there. But they close all night. They close because many stations in the country here, they close 9:30 and they close the doors. So they go inside and they sleep. And then they open 6 o'clock when they open back. So many stations, I don't know how many still doing that, so that was normal. You could close some of these things forever, because the important thing is you want to stop crime. If every corner you see in a police and you're not going to commit any crime, so you'll be held. Because I hear the sergeant talk about opportunities for crime and the opportunity and the willingness is there, therefore the crime will happen. No, after you commit that crime, you're supposed to be held right away. So the opportunity of escape is zero. So yes, you had the opportunity, but the escape is zero. So the opportunity is not there anymore. So all this. So what I'm saying is that this commissioner who they come in there, he could do it, but he cannot use the same old methodology. It's a failed methodology. Even Gary, the Commissioner Gary, a lot of brush talk, and some of his ideas might work, but a lot of things he was doing wasn't all that great. But maybe he might be nearer to what the kind of thing I am saying.
It's not that it wouldn't work or couldn't work. Is the oh Lord, yeah.
Yeah,
It's just that he got the opposition within the system. But it's quite
that's
a bit
right.
was working.
Because Gary, I must have said this before as well. There are two sets of people in Trinidad. One who sympathize with the criminals, which is what Gary was facing against, and the others who are sympathizing with the victims. And I was telling you already, there's no in between. It's either for the victim or you're against the victim. There's no in between. So that mentality has to shift. Alexander is talking about police protection, which is the vest armor, so the police. That is good, but that is only half of the story. The story is much more than Alexander is coming with himself. He also came out of the police service. What do you expect? So they have to be open to get criticism like I am giving them. So either I don't have to take it. I'm giving it free because I'm not charging. So take it, leave it, or use it. This is my suggestion to them. You all could tell me if I'm making sense because I have more to say on it, but when I put it together, but this is my basic idea, what I want to tell them, and a few more things like that.
Doc,
Does it make sense?
you are a former policeman. You have an idea how policing is supposed to be done. Certain things may have upgraded fast technology, but we are not. We have failed to maintain the basics. The TTPS has broken the trust of the people by engaging themselves with criminals, right? So that community relationship, when you go and report a crime and to work with the community and work with the police, that was damaged very badly within the last 20 years or more, right? So that system, it takes a lot to rebuild the trust. And up to this day, like I told you, I have a friend run from the country. That's just one guy. How many more? Because the police was involved in extorting money, and they had to flee their neighborhood and run to Florida over here because and then and some run to New York and some people run to London or whatever it is. You see how they're talking about 400 people applying for how they call it, amnesty in asylum in the UK because they run from crime. So the thing about it is the TTPS management failed the country, and that is why we are where we are today. Go ahead.
Yes. So again, I call it the carnival policing model applied on a trial basis only for 1 month, subject to be renewed or to be used at another time if it cannot be continued. So with that, I will say all the things I want to talk about. I'll also talk about Alexander and his breastplate, and on the other side, the PNM side saying no, what they need is body cam. And Summit, when you talk about these things, I get very angry because everything they're talking about body cam and breastplate, nobody make that in Trinidad. I was some of those guys. I'd get very, very busy. trying to make the breastplate and body cam so that instead of importing it, we have it locally made, produced. I'd be contacting some manufacturers, somebody to send me the raw material so I could beg for the foreign exchange to make set up shop. Just like I would be in DB. I would have been in DB opening a roti shop just opposite DB, the campus there. Where Kamala live in, not far, a quarter mile from there. I'll be setting my first roti shop because I know they're going to open in September and the people they want roti and they want double. So I'll be the first one to open a place down there. Tell my friend Dr. Ramrup, that's my idea. If you have a friend, to tell them to start setting up shop. They must have done. Trinidad people smart. They must have done that already. They must have been thinking about that already. The doubles people, except that they're robbing the doubles people in the house and taking all the money away. That is why I'm telling the police every half a mile you should have a police standing. You could do it. You when you free up all this police and all the non-policing work that they're doing and looking people who are smooth tie and giving them ticket, running down all about and hiding in the corner waiting to see who's going to drink rum and come out and not drinking rum. Mind the damn business and go on to save the people. Crime. Crime is the number one. I'm taken up by it because crime is the number one priority of every government in the country. Forget refinery, forget money, forget foreign exchange. If you cannot keep people safe, there's no use for government. So crime is number one. Employment number two. So if you're dead, you don't need a job anyway. So you have to protect yourself. Protection is all that matters. So all this crap you see, all these people talking about who take URP and you CPF, that is behind the scene. You have to have a different modeling so that crime will have to be under control. You may not get it to zero, but you should move close to zero. Because that is killing you everywhere in the whole of the West Indies. You're looking for foreign direct investment. You want India to come foreign investment here. When the Indians come here and they've opened their business, you choke and rob them. You think they want to? You tell the friends in Uttar Pradesh, don't come at all here. This is this problem in Trinidad. That's a bad place. I get robbed and I get think this, and they will tell you they will spread over the world. So if you can't take crime, you might as well. I don't know who I do. Better we form a party and go down there. Yes, I think we should govern your party. Because if UNC can't do it and PM can't do it, somebody else has to do it. Because the people cannot live like this anymore. They have to do it. The UNC have to get more serious. They're not serious enough. If you look at Alexander, he's moving too slow. Because he came out of the bowel of the slowness of bureaucracy. Trinidad government is the laziest and slowest workman in the world. They do nothing. They do very little. They comb the hair. They're lovely. Look lovely. That's looking lovely. But when you're looking lovely, you have to also produce. So because lovely wouldn't take you very far. You got to produce also. Yes, you're looking nice. You shape. You comb up. Lovely. Good. But performance, beat old talk, as the old UNC people used to say, or PP, whoever they were that time. So I'm not angry, but I cannot. The same old would not work. And so even if you rehash this new set of people coming to explode the refinery, sometimes they have to work day and night. So you put up in a hotel, put that committee in a hotel, and if you don't come out of there until you have a concrete plan to start tomorrow morning. You have no weekend off, you have no days off, you have no nights off. Or go to sleep at 10 and get up back at 5, 6 o'clock and let's begin again. They have to be drastic. The UNC cannot do things that they would like the PNM. Much more, they have to be better. And it cannot be so drastic so as to do all cuts like loan from Robinson. So many will know. Learn from Robinson's mistake and let's not make. Do everything Robinson did, but avoid all the mistakes he made, which we know there were many. We know where they were. So this UNC government just got the power. Pretty soon, people will call asking for accountability, and the PNM is already looking like they were there for like the PNM last 5 years and time for them to get in back. Because they're giving the people that time to warm the seat. They ain't warm the seat yet. You're talking about they were forever. All the problem you see. So I agree with you guys who say let's look after the people who do the chiefing, find the malfeasance, let the attorney general do his job, and we have more important things to do, such as keeping crime number one, and number two, floating the oil refinery. And crime is everything, really, school and everything. You imagine. So let me give you an next thing. I'm sorry to irritate you guys. I hear this other thing.
You're not dumb.
Okay,
I give you the
UNC
time. So what you have to say.
The UNC is saying that they're going to put police in the schools that are in danger of having criminal young gang. There's no doubt there's some infiltration is happening there. So that is to my point again. Your police are already on a strength. You're going to use more officers to go into let them find a different kind of officer, find a different security there. Don't use the police for the kind of put them on the damn street. We want them in the street. If they meet them on the street, or even catch somebody, the student who walk in with guns or knife in their hand and challenge them on the street before they get to school. So we could even stop it at the gate. So don't put your policemen inside there to how much shift. Maybe one shift a day. You might need at least two policemen in a station in one school, and you have maybe about 25 of those schools. So like 50 policemen every day taken away from our road. The strength is already so weak. You need more people because you don't have patrol. You don't have people patrolling. How much time you see police walking the street in Shogunas? Now and then you see you might see two here and another two, and maybe two not again. All them streets, Kakandi Street and the Kakandi Road and all that police up and down, up and down with siren or no siren, up and down, all inside Enterprise. They should have a whole battalion of police in there, in and out, in and out. All the whole they should see them moving up and down. What the hell you sit down in office doing what? My family get robbed in Val saying the police say when a vehicle come, they will come. So they're waiting, they're tied up, and some of them can't get released. They're tied up, they're waiting. They get the neighbor call the police. The police take half an hour or to come. And then they investigate. What shit are you investigating? They run up the lab until they rob them mobile. They go up there, and that's where they want to find some of the things that they stole from the house. Up in the mobile lab until. So the police went to know what they want, and they tell them that we know who it is, and we know what you're waiting on, what you want to investigate. There's no investigate, run and get them. This is lackadaisical, lazy. That is see, that is what I'm telling you. The police commissioner came out of the bowels of the movement. He has to be challenged by those outside, not only the politicians, but people in society, like myself. Like I was saying, the University of West Indies, but that is the biggest failure in the West Indies over the past 5-6 years. They should be smart there long ago. They get so dotish, they have nothing to offer. They should be, do you see what I'm saying here? They should be saying that. What I'm telling these people in Trinidad, because some of you said, then Gary just said, well, I came out of the system. And I say that if you come out of the system, you have no ideas. But what I did, it was different. I came out of the system and looking into the system so I can criticize the system because I don't support the system. If I'm outside, now I know better. When I was
Well,
inside, I know nothing.
what I say that is because you have an idea how it operates.
Yes, but I'm saying, yes.
So
See,
you
you're right.
understand,
But
you understand policing to some extent. I would say you understand more than me. But what I'm saying to you, the point I want to make is, one thing I disagree with you because the need for the police in the school is something that is very essential because we have children who are conducting themselves in such a way because they are associated with criminal gangs and they're conducting themselves such a way that you can't wait for the police to come because we had, you may not be following it, but we had too many incidents within the school that the teachers were under duress, other students were under duress. So we have to show a police presence. So we need to hire more police. Yes, we do. And we have far too much police is sitting down, not out there on the street, which I agree with you, which we need. This is something I've been preaching for a long time. With that we needed to work on the prevention more than the detection. I told Stephen Williams that he agreed with me, in a previous conversation. And I mean, is the management of the troops, how we manage the troops is the failure. That's why we are what we are, because we have failures where people reaping big money. They're linemen, they're making coke. They're there with 2-3 women in the Venezuelan, and you see one a few years ago on just wearing the inspector clothing on the desk and taking picture. And that is just one part of it. There are many more going on behind the scene. So the system, the police force was poorly managed. The level of morals really deteriorated there. And I mean, they broke the trust of the people so badly. You could report a crime and then the criminal gets to know and the criminal come for you right outside your door by the time you reach by your house. So this is the kind of system we're dealing with. So unless we fix that, but go ahead.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that I came out of the system, but then you're right about I might know a little more. But I came out and looking in from outside, I'm looking in. So
Clearly
I'm not the
understood.
same. I'm not the same like the other guy, like the commissioner or like Alexander.
Yeah, but
I'm
I'm just
different.
saying, I'm just using the reference. You have the understanding how the thing works,
So if they're saying that they have to have police and the decision is made to have the police, maybe they could start with this if they have a
And that
SRP
is
on
some
employee.
that is something that I push very hard with the prime minister, in
So
going forward in the lead up.
perhaps they could if they can if they're under strength, which I think they always are. People always saying they have less people. They always say that they don't have enough people. So I guess that I have excuse they'll make.
So we
But
hire. So we hire. That's job opportunity.
although the problem might be if efficiency rather than new hiring, because you reach a point where the more hiring doesn't take you any further, the more they're unproductive. So but what I'm saying is that if they want, they could become like they could say, well, okay, they say, well, okay, we're not using regular force. We're using the SRPs to do this. If the government still say we want police in this, we just maybe 50 officers now, like the highest 50 SRP if they have any around, rather than using the regular police. We want the
Well,
police
well, we
to
focusing
be
on
on
the
the
school
street.
that is most problematic now. But it's something that is necessary and time we leave. We need the police in the school.
And if we could stop the crime before it get to the school, that'd even better. But let's say we cannot, then if they say they still want, then I could suggest if they have, they will always say they have enough police. They could always use SRP had the same powers like our regular officers, so they could use the SRP. So that's what if the government decides to have police in there, they pass the order and the commissioner had to work it out. So I'm done with that. When that matter happens, I'm done with that. In the meantime, I'm saying they always saying they don't have enough police officers, and that's why they can't have them everywhere. And most of the time, I hear about the problem is that they don't have a vehicle. They couldn't go. So okay, let me give them more vehicle. Let's hand over those vehicles that they have waiting for spare parts to private enterprise.
They always
They can
have
get it
enough,
done.
like you said, they always have enough for carnival, but not for the regular rest of the year.
Yeah, right. You bet. They
So
always have everything from
how
here for
come you have it for
carnivals.
carnival? How come you have it for Independence and Republic Parade, right? But you don't have
Yeah.
it to the rest of the year to service the citizens who you are hired
Yeah. Mhm.
and employed to service, and you
Yeah,
treat
but
them irrelevant.
just to answer you, but then because I want to use the same argument, but I want to change it. So what happens is that in carnival time, they usually have WASA will donate vehicles to help transport police things from here to there. So they have a few of these government services that pitch in for those 2 days to help them out. So so they have more vehicles that time because the others the other NGO the government businesses such as WASA and the works department, and they pitch in with their vehicles into the police service to help out with moving barriers and a few things. But really patrolling they have enough. They're police everywhere still. That's the point I'm making. It's not the only vehicle. We want police everywhere, lined up everywhere. Move, come out of the office. So let us say you even have to have them in the office. You work 4 hours in the office and 4 hours on the beat. Every police officer, whether in the superintendent or senior superintendent, no matter, even you are a detective. Because if you prevent crime, you don't need any detective, as you said, Gary. Because detectives are there to detect crime. When something happened, they could before it happened, it's supposed to. But most of the time, they go in investigations. A murder happened, the detective go down. So we could have detective in uniform also, even not in uniform, but on the street. Nothing and not in the office. Every day they're on the street everywhere. And many times they stay in the office, in the station to write reports. I'm not write reports in your spare time, man. This is like 1 month we're doing this for women. And look, some of you say the morale is low. Morale is that Trinidad morale is low. The whole of Trinidad have a moral problem. So it's not only police. So let them get used to that. Morale is not the issue. You all have a systematic problem of morality on the whole. But you see, and the thing I want to tell you about tonight, I'll just leave it another night. But you see, you see, Trinidad used to be, like I said, and I want to repeat that, and that's why I'm going to take me to the other things, but I'll postpone. Trinidad used to be a great country. It run down over the past 10, 15 years or 10 years, especially the past 10, 9, 10 years or whatever. And the the thing about it, Trinidad always supplied oil refined products to the whole of the Caribbean with the refinery. Then Trinidad dropped last year, up to the beginning of last year. They were importing oil in bulk and redistributing the oil to Antigua and a few other small Barbados, a few other smaller countries. Now Jamaica took it over. They took it away from Trinidad. So Trinidad, they used to get the petroleum products from Trinidad. Now they're not getting. Now Trinidad buying from Jamaica. To tell you how we go running last, we trying to fight to reach for last. We used to be first, but we were struggling to be last now to catch up. We used to be the highest GDP, GNP in the GDP in the Caribbean, in the CARICOM. The Guyana passed through earlier this year, January this year. Guyana passed Trinidad as the richest country in the Caribbean. Ahead of Trinidad. Trinidad used to be the richest. Bahamas is more, but Bahamas is not really, it's a different kind of country. They do not belong to the single market. They belong to CARICOM, but they're not a single market member. So Trinidad has been deteriorating, and here's the point I'm going to make, and I'll leave it for another night. Trinidad is regressing to mediocrity. From a position of exceptionalism, they are regressing to a position of mediocrity. And even to lower than mediocrity, because they're trying to catch up to be the last. They used to be a great, great nation. I don't know what happened with them. What is going wrong? So the CARICOM people talked the other day, and they're talking about payments, and this one talk about the Trinidad monies, Coxet paper. So Trinidad, okay, we all know that story, so I want to stop here and just make that point, and we'll continue another night. But Trinidad has regressed to mediocrity and even further down the hill. They are not making any progress. They have given, because they were the great defender of the West Indies. The West Indies will look up to them in so many ways. Trinidad has faltered to the wayside, and it's time for them to get back out if they need to get it done. First of all, this thing about the PNM making a lot of noise that Kamala should have gone to the CARICOM. We know that is crap. That's real garbage, lazy, mediocrity. So that's the mediocrity I'm talking about. For mediocre, they want to keep Trinidad as a medium, low rate station. That is why the PNM want to be at the helm. They don't want Trinidad to succeed and to be best in the Caribbean. They want Trinidad to be average or worse. Because if you're moving towards CARICOM, you're moving towards the central tendency of laziness, of unproductivity, of being just as good as the average, no better. Average or worse, no better. So Jamaica took the lead and decided now they're importing the oil and they're selling it to Trinidad. That's the kind of backwardness we're getting ourselves into. And that is why I want to continue the discussion. I hope Ned and those fellas could hear what I'm really saying tonight, because I'm already a little serious now. Because it is getting serious. That's the last thing. I will finish it next week again. Trinidad have to move like how India is moving. Walk quietly, carry a big stick, and be firm, and have the plan to execute to make you number one again, starting with the Caribbean. No last. First, to be number one in the Caribbean. You were there before, you could get back there again. And that is where I would leave people like Sumington and so on to comment further, because I know it's kind of late now. So good night if you're not having anything else to say. Go ahead, Gary. I want to go.
Yeah. So, but listen, the Minister of Homeland Security made a trip in the CARICOM together with the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. And apparently you didn't get a chance to look at his little speech. He said that he gained some new ideas. But you and I, you have time tomorrow night?
I could jump in.
All right, so we will discuss some of that tomorrow night.
But we got to discuss this CARICOM thing. It's not simple as how the PNM using it, and even the UNC want to go along that
but
road.
what I'm saying to
It has to be a little different. It has to be different.
I ain't going to get all the way into the CARICOM part yet, but there is an agreement with the national security, regional national security, right? we have to work together with our neighbors
No,
on
yes,
how to
yes, no,
say.
Gary, that's a good point. Exactly what I don't want to misconstrue what I'm saying. I believe in the CARICOM market, but we
Yeah,
have to
but not
get
only
back
the
to where
market,
we
we are
were. We
working
have to be
on.
the leader.
Yes, we have to do that. And Sean Sobers was very proficient and efficient in handling that. The prime minister had issues to deal with in the country. She just got elected, so maybe next time around she will go. But the guys who went there, they were sufficient enough to deal with the issues. And one thing you will notice about our prime minister, she likes to give young people an opportunity. She doesn't, block their opportunity. And this is what the PNM don't like. In that, she's creating opportunities. She's helping people to pull themselves up. And obviously, the people that finance the PNM does not want that competition for the ordinary man to become competitive to them. And some people can't seem to understand that, and they will use all kind of gimmick or race and religion and this and that and all that kind of nonsense. But
No,
anyway,
because Gary, they are moving towards mediocrity. They're not
right,
moving up the hill. They're moving down the hill. They want to be
yeah,
average like everybody else. So therefore, we are all one people. Yes, we're all
yeah,
one people, but somebody
that,
has to take the mantle.
yeah.
Somebody
So
has to
anyway,
push it. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere.
yeah. So we go deal with that. But I want to deal with more on the policing with you, because a lot of the things. No, Alexander talked about how the police need technology, and I mean he didn't need to travel outside the country to discover that. I mean, there's a lot of things we could have shared with him, and a lot of things was tried by Griffith. He was within the force of the system. Yes, we need the technology. Yes, we need the police to upgrade from using pen and paper and going into using, how to say, electronic devices to take a report. People shouldn't have to go to the police station to make a report. The police should be equipped to make that report. We had an app running that the PNM condemned that where you could make a report on an app from your phone. I didn't have to run to the police station.
Yeah.
So all these things
Yeah.
was they push us back, and so we'll talk a lot more about that. We will have to You'll have to do some kind of research a little bit to also we want to continue this policing discussion. So tomorrow night, if someone have anything else to add, we can wrap up.
These are important issues. What Doc is saying, if you don't fix crime as the first number one thing, you cannot engage the rest of the economy into doing anything productive or any sort of development work going on, because you have to fix crime. That is the number one pillar. And that was the number one promise I think UNC made it, among others. But the fixing crime is the problem. And if they don't put priority on that, then a lot of trade and investment and foreign direct investment and so on ain't going to happen. So that how are you going to raise capital and so on? How are you going to attract new industries in the island? There's a lot of problems that will emanate if you don't solve that crime problem. And I agree with Dr. Mirage that it should be given foremost and we should be in the forefront. That is our should be the first objective. Now, crime will involve a number of things. Remember, where is the forensic unit set up? Where is the DNA legislation? What is the sense you have in crime? You catch a criminal and you cannot prosecute him to get the right penalties to take effect on him. So that's why people are taking advantage of the current situation, knowing that there are 95% probability that they ain't going to get catch. And even if they're going to get catch, it will take 15 to 20 years. So you see,
And you have some help within the police force to help you destroy the evidence.
this is what they can't find the evidence, they can't find the file. No, it goes through not only the police force, it has infiltrated the judiciary as well. So you
So,
see,
so, so why do you think Andrea Baharat is dead?
correct. Why think
Okay.
they can't find the AG can't find the file for the Coleman thing? the Coleman
Yeah.
mother. How you think they can't find the file? Or then they, after a while, yeah, they find the file now. This BS has to stop. It's a process. That's why I keep on saying that all the systems in Trinidad is broken. Every single thing. Nothing works. Not one damn thing works. So from banking, going back to education, to health, you name it. Immigration, customs, everything is broken.
All right, guys. So we'll catch up tomorrow night.
All right. Good night.
All right then, Doc. Definitely tomorrow night we talking this thing. All right.
Okay.
All right then.
Yeah.
Good
All
night,
right.
everybody.
Okay,
Thank you for
good night.
listening.
Bye.